It's only when you have someone that is a problem, and more than likely they would be a problem no matter what. Even if you built the perfect system with perfect balance, whether that is everybody being versatile enough to do whatever and powerful enough to do whatever, or party composition truly mattering, a problem player is going to be a problem player no matter what.
Of course. Yeah. I just, ideally, you want to tell, or, if you are in a situation where you want to tell a specific story, it makes certain things more complicated because you kind of have to take it into consideration. That part's just a bit of a bummer, but like, again, you could always work around it. It's never so much of a big deal where like, I've decided I want to fucking like quit a game over it or like quit DMing over it.
Just kill that player.
Yeah, just kill the character.
Hey, try again.
Oh, wait, hold on. Gray. Kill the character or kill the player?
Player.
Welcome to Take the Damage podcast by Unfortunate Ones. I'm Sov.
I'm Nix.
And I'm Graythorn.
And today we are talking about powerful PCs, or the powers that PCs sometimes hold, different systems, and mostly probably just complaining about it would be my guess. It's what we're going to be doing.
If I was to guess based off of the majority of Sov's and Gray's perspectives, yes, it'd be complaining about it. Gray said, I have problems with it too. So, like, this is going to be a complaining podcast.
The ideal system is you take any system and you just run level 0 campaigns. That's the ideal system.
Well, I think part of the problem when we were initially like trying to think about like what we were going to talk about was like, even if you ran session 0, part of the problem is sometimes some systems have it on level 0. Your character is born with the ability to fly. They have fucking tremor sense. They have, they have like built-in feats into the actual creation of the character, and like the feat list could be hundreds of feats. So you're like, oh, you're a level 0 human. You also have Eldritch Blast. You can fly. You're telepathic, and you have like tremor sense.
I mean, you wouldn't. A level 0 wouldn't have that because you wouldn't have earned any feats, but they would have the racial feats, and some of the racial feats in especially the expanded content is pretty powerful. Although in the non-expanded content, like, that'd be funny. That'd be funny to do a little battle royale where we just do a level 0 and one of us is a human, one of us is a dwarf, or no, a human, a halfling, because they get, I think, luck points, don't they? Halflings?
Yeah, they get lucky.
Yeah, they get lucky. So a human who gets nothing except for ability score stuff, because mind you, any weapons you would not have proficiency with, so you're just using base ability. And then a halfling, and then a dragonborn that just gets fire breath for no reason. A breath weapon. Let's just have a level 0 battle royale. And see which of the races makes it. We could all have 2 characters, and when one of them dies, the other one enters the fight.
It's also like,
yeah. So basically, the Dragonborn wins because they just use their breath at one time on like 2 people.
Yeah, they'll definitely make it to the second
and then,
round.
If the Dragonborn somehow fails to kill anybody, and everybody has rolled more than 2 HP, now it's the halfling who wins because they just gotta have the biggest weapon with the best strength or dexterity score and hit somebody's AC.
Yep. I think that's so funny I actually buff my commoners because I really don't like that commoners are so squishy that you just look at them wrong and they die, right? Mm-hmm. I like there to be an opportunity that they don't. Not that they won't, but just an opportunity. So I usually push it from that average of 4 HP to average of 10 HP. But that inherently means something funny, right? Because for most classes, between you getting your maximum die, so even if you're like a ranger and your die is like a D8, you're also going to add your con mod. So there's a good chance that like most people either stay the same as a commoner, or if you're like a barbarian or a fighter or a paladin, you might be a little bit better than a commoner if you hit level 1. The funny one to me is like what that inherently means in my world is to go from commoner to wizard, you actually lose health points because they're D6 based. it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense though, because you just did nothing but studying for like 2 years. Your muscles atrophied. You're just weaker now.
Yeah, you know, that could happen in real life. You don't hit the gym for a year, you know, you'll lose some you'll
lose some mass. So in my world, level 1 wizards are weaker than commoners on average. I just pull them up to like 10, because like 10, like even low level characters, they could output 10 damage, and maybe not in 1 hit, but for sure in 2. Like you're still gonna beat a commoner.
Yeah, and usually their AC is what, 10?
Yeah, unless they're wearing armor or anything. Yeah, AC
Or
10.
they're you know, dexterous for or depending on the system you're playing.
Yeah, you're gonna. Oh, you meant the player character. Yeah, you're gonna win. You're still gonna win against a commoner, but yeah, just funny. But yeah, level 0, you still have all of the racial traits and whatnot in D&D 5e to account for. So even then, you have a lot of resources already. Also, backgrounds. 2024, you get a free feature as like part of backgrounds.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning that. That seems pretty nutty.
Yeah. And then like again, it's supposed to be compatible with 2014. And I'm like, how is it compatible? You have a free feature. Like where everybody else is level 1, you're level 1 with tough. That's not compatible. Yeah.
Or something to give you some level of spell or something.
Yeah. When you originally pitched the idea of us talking about this, what turned into a more umbrella talking about PC power, your original pitch was when everyone is super, no one is, which I think is more of a it's still a power related topic, but it's more of a party composition topic. In terms of like party composition mattering, and I think the biggest thing that like I would point to is games like, actually even more, I was going to say AD&D, but even more so than AD&D, I would point to like Legends in the Mist is specifically built where your party composition matters so much based on the tags that you have that like one character might have genuinely no ability that benefits them in a combat. You need a warrior. You need a warrior in your party of some kind.
Sure.
A mage or a soldier or whatever it is, because if you run into conflict, you know, the apple farmer's not going to be the one that kills the zombie.
I remember when we played that, Gray was having trouble as to like, how do I apply the skills I have for fighting off anything?
I think the more that I read into it, you're almost not supposed to. I think what you were supposed to do in that situation, Gray, and I could be wrong and people could correct me, but in a game like Legend of Mist, it is so party composition heavy that you're not supposed to. You were supposed to rely on me to hold that conflict while you did something else. And there would be other situations that I just would have nothing to add or benefit the scene that you would have had to go and do. I think it's so extremely party composition heavy where in terms of raw power in a fight, I held all of it.
Yeah, I did like that. I did like that aspect where it did feel like, you know, the roles, the classes had an actual role to play in things. Although, you know, aside from that, it still felt very general with how the game worked. But
yeah,
the specific role idea, like, yeah, you're the sneak thief.
Yeah,
you do sneak thief things.
But
you're the warrior. You do warrior things.
But it doesn't mean that you can't help. Like I remember, in the Lord of the Rings movies, when they actually breach the walls and Gandalf starts going fucking full-on swordsman gangster. At one point, Pippin picks up a rock and chucks it and like knocks an orc. And that gave Gandalf the edge. Was Pippin killing orcs out here? No. but he was helping, like there was still something to be done.
Yeah,
He was no Bilbo.
He's no Bilbo.
I think part of that, like I think Legends of the Mist does a good job of like mixing those concepts where it's like, yes, party composition matters because of how you build your tags makes you important in certain roles. But there is a little bit of a flattening of the curve that Legends of the Mist does, because like the way you matters. So like you having like
so deep, bro.
You being a weak character like Pippin when they are useful is equally as useful as the fighter when they're fighting.
Yeah, well, and I think your DMs or your GM is supposed to account for that. Like there should be opportunities where like, oh, they get into a situation and it doesn't matter. All of my swordsman training doesn't matter because the only one that could move forward in this situation is Grey's apple farmer. And like, I think it's supposed to be built into the situation or into the campaign by the GM of
giving moments.
Yeah. Making moments where it would be important, where everybody would be important in the story.
Yeah,
Whereas,
making it so your
like,
players' tags like matter at some point in the game.
Yeah, I mean, we felt that pretty heavily in AD&D as well. 2E, when you were running it, Grey, there were certainly situations where we had the luxury of doing so, but we had to really cultivate the scene ourselves, kind of like we were playing G&G back in the day, to make sure that me, the mage, was going to be useful at all. Like at any point, we could have thrown Nyx's character ahead, but for me to participate, we had to really think about shit.
No. I threw myself into situations where I was going to make my character really important. It just ended nowhere. I just rolled poorly.
And then he gave up.
Mm-mm. We added 2 sessions because we never gave up. We added 2 sessions of wandering through the desert because we refused to give up. We really are kind of the worst players. It's funny because we all enjoy playing with each other so much, and I respect you both as players so much, but man, do we fuck up each other's stories.
99 percentile, baby.
There's a big red sign that says, "Go here." But what's that off in the distance I see? I'm going to go check that out. I'll be back in 2 weeks.
To be fair, in your world, Grey, that big red sign that says "Go here" is everywhere. There's literally a pool with fucking acid and spikes in it, and there's a red sign that says "Go here." You make too many things interesting.
It's also usually, for the most part, the red sign is being held by a kobold.
I am a world builder. I build interesting worlds.
Yeah, I do struggle with that a little bit of like making things too, like in the same way that you do, where it's like I make things interesting and things are happening and then my players start going and doing them and I'm like, no, wait, no.
No,
the story's over here.
It's a downside of being someone who enjoys like a living world.
Yeah.
Instead of like a set piece.
Yeah, and also there's like an inherent thing built into every player, and I understand why. And it's built into us as well, which is why we run into so many problems, which is like if your DM says something, it's probably important. So like if your GM is like, "Oh, there's a noodle shop over here and there's this guy making noodles and some creepy guy in the corner that's just kind of staring at the old guy making noodles." All of a sudden you're like, there's a story there. And it's like, no, I was just telling you what's on the street.
I mean, that's also like for the most part, like the audience is told to be that way through like movies and TV shows. Like you're only shown important things. So when you play like a free roam game and like you get shown something that is supposed to be innocuous, you're like, no. No. That thing, he's only telling me because it's important.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, fucking to go back to power creep.
Yes.
But it was
Power
also
creep.
like, so AD&D, or at least my opinion of like, I really like 5e. I think 5e is a very,
Yeah, I
it's a
run it
very-
all the time.
yeah, it's a very straightforward, quote unquote, straightforward for what it is system. And I think a lot of the digital tools especially make it a lot easier for people to jump into it. Plus the availability of content that's already created means that like, if somebody's interested, there are hundreds of hours of high quality games that somebody can go watch to be like, okay, this does seem like something I would be interested in playing. The only the thing I don't like about like Legend of the Mist does a really good job of flattening the curve where everyone's important. What I feel like 5e, you know, even in 2014 and especially in 2024, is that the way that they flatten out the curve is that everybody just gets to do everything.
Well, maybe not do everything, but everybody has the ability to address a situation. In
Yes.
whatever way their character is built, everybody has the ability to address the situation in some way. In 5e, you are very versatile.
Yeah, like your healer can often be your highest DPS.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, clerics, yeah. Certainly they are. Yeah. There's also like, I don't know. 5e is weird because there's a between power, versatility, and utility. It is such an imbalanced system. Like, clerics are so many tiers above every other class in terms of abilities to do things,
Yeah.
as are like paladins, and like you have like monks are so low on the totem pole of being helpful in a
Yeah.
situation in terms of like power balance.
And I think if you were to approach a team of new people, like everybody had no experience with 5e, and people just generally were like, "Oh, what sounds interesting? Oh, I want to be a bard. I want to be, I want to be a warrior. I want to be an archer." Like if that was how people came to the game, then I don't think some of this like everyone has the ability to kind of do a little bit of everything. I don't necessarily think that would be a problem because people wouldn't necessarily know that like, oh, if I build the character in this way, I increase the power level.
Oh, I mean, there's a level of me that likes it. I say this to new players all of the time when they're joining my game, because a lot of people have that, what I would consider outdated, at least when you're talking about 5e. A lot of people have that idea that they're like, well, what's the party composition? And I'm like, honestly, play whatever you want. I don't really care. If we want to do, oops, all clerics, or if you want to be the second ranger in the party, it really, really doesn't matter. Also, if it's like, oh, there's no healers in the party, and it's like, yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's 5e. It really, really doesn't matter. Just play whatever you want. And I like that as well because of like situations that unfold where like, oh, Nyx's character happens to be in this situation. I like the idea that you can try to address the situation anyways. You might not be the best at it. And would you have been better off sending Grey? Sure. But I like the idea that you still can have some way to address the situation. I'm actually not a big party composition guy. I think like I hear people talking about it, and I get it, but like they talk about like, oh, you need the tank and you need the skirmisher, and I'm like, why are you trying to make this a video game? It's like you don't need to have these set roles that drive what is otherwise a narrative.
Sure, and I think that is so. I like the idea of doing the party compositions as just as generally the concept of like, the origins of the game. The origins of the game
Sure.
kind of really did push for that, and like, yeah, it is a little bit like like a video game where like you have these designated roles. I understand the approach of like give everybody a little bit of the piece of the pie so everyone can do it. Like everything you were saying. Like, yeah, for me, I agree with you. With a brand new table, brand new people, I think it leads to less like analysis paralysis or like people like not necessarily going with like just the on a whim. Like I just kind of want to be this thing. Like and like kind of almost carelessly choosing their things. Not carelessly, but like whimsically choosing the thing that they want to be. And like, yeah, it's very helpful for that. The problem I have is that when you create all these like, when you create all of these abilities for everybody to do everything or to be decent at a bunch of different things,
so much room for power builds.
Yeah, it means that the people who understand the game well, which is like the majority of people that you end up playing with, because for the most part, when you play a game, when you run a game, you run with people who've played the game already. Like, they can so hyper focus and hyper build something so that like they just have access to so much.
Yeah.
That like if you have a mixed party, if you have, you know, one or especially if it's just one person who's really good, like he can offset everything. Where like as a DM,
I literally introduced a character yesterday into one of my campaigns that did it genuinely by accident, and we've been talking about it. And he's super pleasant. He wasn't trying to be, he wasn't trying to like power build or whatever. In fact, he's the one that came to me and he's like, oh, like, should we fix this? Because I feel like I'm too powerful and I don't want to throw off the balance of your party. I know I'm joining mid-game. And I actually, when I was going over his character sheet, I was like, oh, did he build this wrong? Did he do something wrong? And because I immediately flagged it, the other characters in my party are like 40 health, 45 health, and then our tank is like 60 health. This dude's rocking in with 100.
Oh my God.
And it's like, how did... I flagged that when I looked at the character sheet, and I was like, how did you do that? How did you do that? You did something wrong. And then like I went over the character sheet, and I was like, no, you just use standard build rules. It's fine. This is just an imbalanced game. So like, it's not his fault at all. And he's the one that approached me and was like, hey, maybe this is too much. And like, but like most players that I have don't feel that way. They're not like, they're most players that I see are like, well, use the standard rules. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just funny.
I mean, I had a game where like I was much less considerate because I am much more, and I have been much more of the like, I will push. I'm a power builder. I like building to the edges of a game. I think I had like a level 4, level 5, like artificer that I could pump my AC to like 26.
Yeah.
Like, and it was just like, yeah, man, like that's so hard for a DM to consider, like, for the build of a fight, for the build of like a bad guy.
Yeah, I mean, I have two opinions on that. I have an opinion on how you should handle that as a DM. It's a genuine opinion. I know a lot of people, like, the way they talk about it is like, oh, well, you know, if you have someone that is power building in your party and nobody else is, just target them. And like, I get the concept. I don't really like it. And then I've heard other people, I think it was maybe Brendan Lee Mulligan talking about like maybe it wasn't. I think it was someone he was talking to. But they were like, oh, like, it's fine. Who cares? If that's the fantasy that they want to play where they're super powerful or whatever, it's fine. And kind of leaning into that a little bit, I like build my encounters to the party, and if there's an outlier, I just remove them from consideration. Like, I consider the averages of my player party's health, and if one of them has twice as much health, I just don't consider that when I get that average. And then same thing with like AC and whatnot, and it's like, yeah, this one player is just winning all the time. Cool. I'm guessing because they power built that's the fantasy that they want to live. And if they came at me and were like, your encounters are too easy, it's like, yeah, wait, Everybody else built roleplay characters. You built a powerful character. You're more powerful. You did that.
I think I would try to do that, but it would. Part of me would be there'd be a process of figuring it out because I want to make sure that like while I am achieving that like the rest of the party still gets to do stuff, you know?
Yeah, I mean that's the complicated other side of that coin is if you just allow it, then the rest of the party is struggling through a fight while one person's winning, which is fine, but it means that everything is just being affected by that one player all the time, and it is kind of disappointing sometimes when you think you've built this badass character, and then you're just getting absolutely murked by another player all of the time. Because they power. I think power building is fine and it is legitimate. I think when everybody does it. I think it's weird at a table when everybody's not doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard to try to counteract it, especially when you have like, I mean, you could always have experienced players and one player just, you know, most of the players just don't care to power build. Some of them just like want to do, you know, just want to play around with the system. But I'm curious, Gray, do you target your power builders?
I try not to, unless like because I play things to how I feel they should be.
Mhm.
That's what I do. I play to the logic of the world.
When the power builders are obviously like, oh hey, they're doing more than everyone else here, then I make everything start targeting them. Like,
Well,
oh, that's a threat. Let's kill it.
That is an inherent thing when I think about the logic of the world. This, like, in a way that I will target power builders, exactly what you just said, Gray. When I think of the logic of the world, one of the easiest lines of logic, like threads of logic for me to pull on, is like, oh, it's my big bad's turn again. And they're looking at you, Nix. And you're like, why is he looking at me? And I'm like, because you hit him the hardest.
Yeah.
What do you think? Like, he's got to get rid of you.
Yeah, that is the easiest way to target the person who is the highest DPS is like, oh, like, how come he's not getting hit? He's right next to him. It's like, yeah, you just blew off his arm.
Yeah. He doesn't care about that. They're not doing anything. They hit him for like 6 damage. You hit him for 36 damage. He's just going to ignore that thing blinking at him, and he's going to just walk straight up to you. Because fuck you. I did that.
Go ahead.
I did that in my my Saturday evening game. They got to like the big bad. It was a very weird build for a dungeon. The actual big bad was the escape. So they actually got to the air quotes big bad, but they were supposed to win. But winning triggered a whole escape mechanism that was the true exciting part of the session. But anyways, I didn't give her any like actions. She just had legendary actions, which was she had 6 limbs that could like grow out roots or whatever. So she was just like shooting roots in their direction. And there were 4 players. She had 6 limbs. So I was like, okay, one of them's going to go to you, one of them's going to go to you, one of them's going to go to you, and 3 of them are going to you. And the player's like, why? And I was like, because you just shot her. Fuck you. I'm going to hit you with everything. Deal with it.
It's also like in talking about like the logic of your world, if your party starts becoming like your player party starts becoming notorious and like one of the members is like flattening enemies, just like it's reasonable to assume that would get out. Like, oh, the fucking paladin, the cleric in the party is the one that's literally blows apart everybody with lightning bolts. It's like, yeah, guess what? If you start to get targeted or if you come across a group, it's like, hey, you're the cleric that throws lightning bolts. We should deal with you first.
Yeah. That same campaign, they had a fight in the middle of the street because they decided to for some reason. And then afterwards, I took the very corrupt local guard and cornered them, and they were like, yeah, you got to wear this magic, because one of them is a magic user, and they're just committing this like crazy amounts of magic in otherwise a low magic city. And they're like, yeah, you gotta wear this collar that dampens all of your magic now. Also, you're going in a magic registry, so everywhere everyone everywhere is going to know that you're a caster now. And if you're caught in the city without the collar on, we're going to kill you. So have fun.
I mean, yeah, there are ways to deal with like when things are getting out of hand. It just sucks sometimes that you have to design around certain things.
It's become such a common part of TTRPGs. I feel like 50% of conversations that I hear in interviews and on podcasts and on shows is the how to deal with power, how to deal with versatility, how to deal with magic, how to deal with flying. And it's like, it's weird to me that what's become, the job of the storyteller is to tell the story. And now it's like the job of the storyteller, there's this expectation. And it's like, oh yeah, but if you were good at your job, you would figure out how to do this anyways. And it's like, yeah, but it's weird that it's become the position, like your primary responsibility is figuring out how to overcome mechanics of your players. I think that's a strange thing that we put onto DMs. It's like it's a weird paradigm. It's like instead of telling your story, you need to think about why mechanically flying is okay, or why mechanically telepathy is okay, or whatever the mechanic is, because there's so many of them that people talk about. And it's always the same conversation of like, oh yeah, but all you got to do is just this, and this. And it's like, yeah, but there's like 30, 40 topics. Now we're all writing the same stories, fucking low ceilings. What is it? For flying. It's, low ceilings. All of the enemies have range attack and you're always fighting in a cone of silence. Every single combat. Great. What a wonderful story that the storyteller is telling you now.
I mean, for me, that what you just said is like a lot of the times I draw inspirations from movies or TV shows, or like I want to capture an element of, let's say, like The Fifth Element, or like
Sure.
a Ghibli movie or something like that. And like, oh, if I put you in this part of the world, and then all of a sudden, like in that movie, the characters don't have these abilities. And then all of a sudden your characters do have these abilities. Like, well, now I have to try to I want to tell this particular kind of story in this kind of environment. And like, I have to build all these kind of safeguards in mind, because like, yeah, you could just kind of beat it. And it's like, yeah, maybe as a more competent GM, as often it's the story is like, well, yeah, you should just consider that. You should just be able to build around it. It's like, yeah, but I kind of want to tell just this story.
I have a story I want to tell.
Yeah. And like, yeah, I get it that like part of the game is also that like communal storytelling where like the players are a part of the storytelling too, but also like the DM puts a lot of labor into like putting the setting, putting the mood, putting the what's going on.
I like that all of these things exist. I like the plethora of things that exist within the expanded official content of 5e and other systems as well. Like Pathfinder has a lot of stuff, and especially like some of the third party or homebrew stuff that gets added to it. I think it's all great. I think we've gone in such a weird direction in the community where we need to like renormalize that your GM from the onset. Actually, not even from the onset, because this is something that gets talked about a lot of like, some things need addressed during the game. I think it should be normalized that your GM is allowed to put restrictions on the story in terms of what's available in the world. Like, hey, there's no orcs in this world, unfortunately. And there's a historical lore reason why there's no orcs in this world. There's like 88 other races you could be. That shouldn't be a big deal.
Yeah.
There's so much fun that you can have building so many other things. Like, there's nothing wrong with a couple of restrictions.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think restrictions, especially if they're reasonable in terms of like they're built into the world. It's kind of like I think Gray has a story about like one of his settings is like, oh yeah, there is this available like class type or race type where like, yeah, if you pick that, you kind of have to follow these rules. And I think Ray, your players immediately were like, well, what if I don't though?
Oh no, so I made that subclass of elf was based lightly on the Shatterkai from the Faerun stuff.
Yeah.
They're like the shadow world version of elves.
Mhm.
Like,
Shadowfell.
normal elves come from the Fae. These ones come from the Shadowfell. And the reason why is because one of my players is like, why are all your races humans and diet humans, essentially?
Because I like grounded stories. That's why. Shut up.
Yeah, because there's no Aarakocra or Dragonborn or none of those high fantasy-esque races. I just got dwarves, I got humans, halflings, gnomes, giants,
Mm-hmm.
and elves and drow. That's it. So I made that Shatterkai light race out of elves, and it's like, yeah, the one rule is you're made of you're descendant of, not descendant, but your ancestry is sort of tied in or cursed with these creatures that are called Fae, not like fairy Fae, but my own version of Fae.
Sure.
And they are essentially obligate carnivores that need to devour life force. So you got these rules you got to follow. You have to literally kill a person. Usually, animals kind of work. They don't sate you as much, but humans, dwarves, halflings, elves, etc. You got to kill them and eat their soul. And also, everyone thinks you're a monster.
Yep.
Good luck with that.
Wow.
Yeah. Enjoy it.
And so then 3 players, I think, picked that race. 2 players picked that race.
It's funny you introduce like one sub thing and then everybody's like, oh, all of us, we should all do it all at the same time. Which by the way, so that's another thing about like GMs being able to put on restrictions is like, oh, you've just changed the entire story. Like whatever story you had written gray now comes second to the fact that your whole group has this thing going on.
Yeah, but I mean, it was a free form game for me.
So who cares?
That to me, like them being, 3 out of 4 of my players being some sort of obligate carnivore is to me part of the story.
Yeah.
Right. You got 2 soul devouring elves, a humanoid slime that needs to eat corpses at the very least, and a monk who's drunk half the time.
Yeah.
Beautiful story.
Yeah.
Well, so that's the luxury of a freeform game is that nothing matters. So like, like a freeform game, as long as everybody has the same rules for character creation, it really doesn't matter. And like, again, a situation pops up where it's like, if you're trying to tell the story of Fifth Element, as you were saying earlier, Nix,
Mhm.
and then your whole party decides that they are warlocks, it's now a warlock story within the story of Fifth Element, which is kind of game changing. Whereas if you are just telling a story within the world of Fifth Element, but it's freeform and they can do whatever they want, whenever I run a freeform game like that, one of the first questions I ask in session 0 is like, hey, what brings you all together? What kind of group are you? Are you like a thieves group? Are you assassins? Are you bounty hunters? Are you mercenaries? Are you inquisitors? Are you like a holy group that travels around, cleansing thing? What is your group? So if your group is a bunch of cannibals, as Gray's was, that's fine. That is the story. In a freeform game, that is perfectly reasonable. In a non-freeform game, that becomes weird because it's like, oh, you've just taken over your DM story with this side shit.
Yeah, again, it's also like I said, it's understandable where like the availability of like a lot of this stuff, because in a freeform campaign like that, when you don't have any, when you give your players the ability to not really care about party composition, you can get weird things like that, and it'll still work.
Yeah.
Like yeah, okay, nobody's a dedicated healer, but like everyone can heal a little bit. and like, yeah, you just have to short rest a little bit more, or whatever, for that character to regain their ability to do their healing. So like, I do understand it. I think there's just a couple of bad apples that just have made the experience where you're just like, God damn it. Like, why do you do this, man? You're ruining it for everybody.
Yeah. I mean, that's another important thing to think about is like, we talked about this before because we talk a lot of shit and we complain a lot, but mostly because it's just a funny topic, complaining. But like, you don't build a system for problematic players, and therefore you shouldn't build a system necessarily to avoid problematic players. You should build a system to be fun, and like 5e is fun. I've had so much fun with 5e over the years that like it really doesn't like the. I know a lot of people bitch and complain about it, but like the classes being so imbalanced compared to each other doesn't bother me. Power gaming doesn't really bother me. There's, I think a lot of it just doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
It's only when you have someone that is a problem, and more than likely they would be a problem no matter what. Even if you built the perfect system with perfect balance, whether that is everybody being versatile enough to do whatever and powerful enough to do whatever, or party composition truly mattering, a problem player is going to be a problem player no matter what.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just, ideally it like, you want to tell, or, if you are in a situation where you want to tell a specific story, it makes certain things more complicated because you kind of have to take it into consideration. And that part's just a bit of a bummer, but like, again, you could always work around it. It's never so much of a big deal where like, I've decided I want to fucking like quit a game over it, or like
No,
quit
of course
DMing
not.
over it.
Just kill that player.
Yeah, just kill the character.
Hey, try
oh,
again.
Wait, hold on, Gray. Kill the character or kill the player?
Player.
Um,
I mean, you make a story and imagine, all right, you one of your players is just this hardworking guy, right? He's a rogue, does his carpentry during the day, and at nighttime he's a serial killer going and spearing away bad guys, right?
Solo campaign, yeah.
Then in walks this motherfucker, a wizard with prestidigitation, invisibility, and Tensor's floating disk. How you compete with that? Really?
The world just kills them. Like, easy excuse. Well, in my world, the gods are very much real and very much interactive, and they don't like what you're doing. So, they're going to summon a level 20 paladin with an oath to the god to rid the world of things the god thinks is evil. And that thing, my friend, is you. Anyways, I hope you could roll up a new character in time for next session. Fuck, what was I going to say? Oh, I lost my train of thought. It was something on the note of, on the note of, we talked about like normalizing again, GM's restrictions based on kind of the story that they're wanting to tell. So one thing that we've talked about as we've done system exploration is like, we're having fun with all of it. Even games that aren't our, like, I don't think Legend in the Mist was really Gray's thing at all, but we still had fun at the table together. And a huge part of that, and I talk to my players about this as well, is like, I have players that are like, oh, I really don't care what we're playing as long as you're the DM,
Mm-hmm.
And I feel the same way about you two, where it's like, hey, it doesn't matter to me. You could give me I've given Gray permission before of like, oh, if you want to write a story and a character and their appearance and their build and their personality and their speech pattern and their accent, I will play that character. I don't care. Take away my agency. It doesn't matter to me. Like as long as when I get in the game, I have agency and I get to play through the story as best I can to the character that, I've been given, it doesn't bother me at all because I know I'm going to have a good time because I enjoy playing in Gray's games. And I feel that same way when I say to normalize GMs putting restrictions on things and don't look at it as your player agency being stolen, just look at it as the parameters of this collective storytelling and try to tell a story within that, because most of the work of the storytelling is going to be your GM at the end of the day, no matter what system you're playing. You're playing in their world. You're playing from their world perspective because the world's going to react the way they think it should. You're playing in the story that they have cultivated for you, even if it's a freeform game, the hooks and whatnot they wrote. And the more you give yourself to your GM, I think in the end, the more fun you're going to have, because your GM can cultivate that fun for you in a way. And also your GM is going to have a better time and be more inspired to continue writing intricate, fun, cool things for you if it's within the paradigm of their comfort zone to be able to write.
Mm-hmm.
So like the more you give yourself to a GM, especially if you like that GM, I think the better outcome you're going to have, instead of trying to get your GM to fit the mold of the story you want, in which case your GM might be sitting there, on prep day being like, I don't know what to write for this person. And then I guess we'll just do a combat or something. You know what I mean? like the less love they're going to put into it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's part of like, at least in my mind, is like being a player at the table is like understanding that like the more and more you fight the DM, quote unquote, fight the DM on like little things or even bigger things, it builds up and you get to that point. Like you get to that point as a DM where like, you're just like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know what to do with you anymore. Like I'm trying to do this for the whole table. And I have to like, and then you keep throwing a wrench in things. It's like, and like, you keep bugging me about this, or you keep like, you as a DM, you start to kind of like lose your passion for that part of the story you're telling. And you just will eventually be like, here, man, like, here's the thing for you. Like, are you happy? Are you good?
Well, there's also just like, we've talked about the inherent, the game plays from the world view of the DM, because it has to. The DM has to put out there how the world works and reacts to you. So if you're spending your time arguing with the DM and whatnot, we've seen this, and he's stated it himself. Lucky, he has stated like, "Oh, I'm a bad D&D player because I can't get on board with that part of it where the DM says something, so therefore it is. If I think that it doesn't make sense, but I do understand that just makes me a bad player, and it leads to arguments at the table, and eventually it leads to him wanting to just leave games, not like quit, like I quit, but it's just like, oh, it's not as fun as it was when it started, and we've had so many bad feel moments that like I kind of rather do something else with my time." And he's identified it himself that he's a bad player for that reason. And I would say the thing that would resolve that is if he gave himself to his DM. The more you give yourself over to your DM, the better a time you're going to have. Even if you don't agree. You don't have to agree.
Yeah. Just allow the idea, the concept that like you're helping a story being told. If in like a non-freeform campaign, there's still some of that, like, let the direction that the DM is going kind of like guide you, even in free form. Like, like, hey, like at least give. You've said this before. I'm not sure if on record, where like, your player, like the players have to give you some amount of motivation to start telling a story. Like if your players are just kind of standing around and kind of waiting for something to happen to them, that's a lot harder as a DM. But like initiating something as a player, but then going with the flow of the story.
Yeah, certainly. Well, I mean, I know I don't know if that's been on record or not, but yeah, just start doing things is kind of how I get things done in games when I'm a player. It's like, I don't know what to do. I'm just gonna walk into this bar now, I guess, because it gives your DM room to do things.
It's what happened in our session with Gray, which is like
It's what happened in both of our sessions with Gray, because it was also going to the corner was kind of a Hail Mary the way we... Oh, no, not the corner. Going to the bar at the end was a Hail Mary as well. We were like, I don't know, something bad happened at this bar. This person thinks it's going to happen tonight. Let's just go and see what happens. In the first Delta we did.
Yeah.
Yep. Just start doing shit. But I circling this back to our actual topic, all of these things I think are true about the restrictions that a DM would put onto power. And I think that's an important thing that people miss is like there is a level of grind to any of these TTRPGs, and your greatest reward is being rewarded with a level. Just under that, it's being rewarded with loot. Oftentimes, loot is magical items. But in a campaign with an actual story, not like a freeform campaign, where, you're trying to get from A to B, if what the GM has written for this story is like, it's a street gang in the poor part of town, and they're just, big numbers, relatively martial fighter street gang. If you get to level 14 with 20,000 magical items, it's not going to be fun anymore because you're going to be way, way, way too overpowered. And it's ridiculous to think that your GM should just turn around and make summon a devil to fight you, because that's not the story that you were ever playing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The reason why I state all of that things is I would like to denormalize, obviously for comedic purposes, I don't mind it at all, but I'd like to denormalize the idea of people bidding for their DM to level them every session. It's like, if I level you every session, you're going to be level 35 by the time you get to the big bad, who is just like a level 2 fighter. You know what I mean? Like,
That'd be so ridiculous.
Yeah. So like, in all things power related, and the power, like, I get why you want to increase your character, but the more powerful a character you have, the less strife your character goes through, and strife is what makes the story good.
Yeah. I mean, I remember in that first campaign that I ran with you guys, where like, I was still fairly new to DMing. It was that was something I was
all the time.
Yeah. That was something I was fighting, like, is just everyone, especially with such a large party. And as soon as anybody brought up the concept that like, hey, so when are we going to level? Everyone else go level. Like, well, yeah, let's level. Yeah. Like, when are we leveling?
It becomes the seagulls from Finding Nemo.
Yes, yeah. Mine.
Level.
Because it's everyone wants that, because it's like, it's fun. It's like you get more options, you get more things. And like, I get it as a player. It makes sense. But like, also like you were saying, like, for me with that campaign, I try to build like arbitrarily again, because that whole game was built, floorboards ahead of where you guys were walking.
Yeah.
Was like, I'm just adding layers into the world that, like, it's almost like a Dragon Ball Z anime, which is like your characters were in a fighting tournament, and now there's like, you just happen to be on this side of the world, where now there's fucking aliens. Ooh, they have powers. And then
there's a turtle kraken thing.
Yeah. It was there the whole time. You weren't strong enough to deal with it.
Yeah. Now you are. Yeah. It's all becoming too powerful. Like, forget the restriction things. Moving off of that for a moment, just being too powerful for things makes it less fun for you. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, and people don't think of things along those lines, but it's definitely true. Like, I think the most exciting games that I have played are when I've played low-level games, where I only have a health pool of 20. It feels way more exciting trying to not lose 20 health points than it does trying not to lose 100 health points. It's the same close to the edge of death, but when you have a limited resource, it becomes so much more important to deal with that limited resource. And I think that about a lot of powerful things. Obviously, a lot of that's just my own perspective. But
sure,
what I would say is like, everybody I ever have known, especially as like a kid or a teenager, that likes to like play games with cheats, puts the game down. They're too powerful. It's not fun anymore.
Yeah.
This game's boring. And it's like, yeah, well, you cheated your way through it. It's the same thing when you get leveled up too quickly or get too many magical items. If you have an answer for everything, then there's no puzzle, there's no mystery, there's no struggle. You just walk around winning all the time, which can be fun in its own right, but for the most part, that's not the stories being told.
I mean, and the other issue is like once you become high level, you have access to so many resources that in order to get to that tense moment, in order to get to low health, low resources, it's going to take you rounds of things happening. It will take so much that like part of what you're doing as a DM and as a player is just kind of grinding through your own resources.
Yeah.
So like some people, that's everything they live for. And I get that. And that's, that's awesome. And it's a way to play the game. But for a lot of people, it's especially if your party is any size, like bigger than 3 or 4, your 3/4 of your time while that's happening is you grinding through a giant pool of resources, and then your entire other party grinding through a giant pool of resources. So a lot of people find it boring. A lot of people kind of check out.
Yeah.
Like a lot of, I bet we're not the only people that like, yeah, we have a lot of friends that have ADD or that check out easily. But like, yeah, once you're in like a big combat, it's like some people are just on their phone. Some people are just are just doing other things because it's like there's so much time and the resources being used and used up and striked off are like they're doing things but not enough to make it so it's so important that you have to be paying attention.
Yeah. It's also just it drags on for so long it's impossible to keep the tension in like the high fantasy TTRPGs like Pathfinder or D&D especially 5e. Where it's like, low level. We'll put it this way: the Stranger Things final fight was like 4 minutes on screen, and a low level D&D 5e combat is like an hour. A mid level is like a whole session.
Yeah,
and level 20, it's like 2 or 3 fucking sessions to get through that combat. There's no way to keep the tension.
Yeah. And the way
everything's just so powerful.
Yeah, in order to keep the tension, you're relying on like your players to be so actively involved through all of it. And it's like, you just, it's unfortunate that you can't, but like, for the most part, you can't. You can't rely on your players to be so enthusiastically involved in what the rest of the party is doing. Again, especially when like it's only barely ticking the needle. Like, if the rest of your party were doing things that were like that so drastically changed the tide of the game and what was happening, then like, of course that makes sense. But like once you reach high levels and high power and high resource, that becomes hard because it's just like, no, you're just kind of ticking boxes.
Yeah. You have to sit through the fighter doing like all 6 of their attacks and their bonus action attack and whatnot. And it's like, all right, cool. You took 3% of the enemy's health.
Yeah.
Talking about power, I don't know what level of story you can actually tell in Legend in the Mist. But of the games that we've played in System Exploration so far, my mind's kept going back to it. I think I'm gonna purchase myself a copy. I might start running it genuinely.
Which one? Sorry,
Legend
oh,
in
okay.
the Mist. But the way it relates to this conversation is there is no power creep in Legend in the Mist. You don't get more powerful. You evolve as a character and your tags change, but you still have the same level of modifiers that you get to add in a situation.
Yeah.
You never get more powerful in that system.
Yeah, I think in terms of like wrangling a lot of at least shifting the game to be like to deal with a lot of these kinds of complaints, I think Legend of the Mist does a really good job.
Yeah, I don't know what level of story, like I don't know if you could tell a story about like, fighting a kaiju I don't know if you could do that in Legend and Mist, but I tend to tell stories that are pretty. I think you do too, Gray. Pretty like, on the streets. It's folk. It's people in the world. There might be a big bad, but the big bad isn't like, they're not throwing planets at your planet.
Yeah, I don't do like celestial level threats or
Yeah.
like if there's a world level threat in my world, players aren't dealing with it. It's just happening.
It's more
Somebody
like
else is dealing with it.
It's a world
It
event.
could be a side character.
Yeah. It's a world event that your players are involved with, but they're not the ones stopping the world event.
Yeah, they're the leading characters in like, on the street stories. Oh, there's a crime gang here. Oh, there's some political intrigue here. They could be the main characters there.
Yeah.
But beyond that, they're supporting roles.
Yeah.
Have you ever ran high level? Sorry, this is way off topic, but have you ever ran? I guess it's kind of on topic. Have you ever ran high level AD&D? Because system exploration, you're gonna have to run high level AD&D, and I don't know if you've ever had to do that before.
I have not.
Woohoo, baby!
That is I've seen some high level AD&D.
How scared are you?
It usually goes because it's just a wildly different system, right?
Yeah.
Like I've seen 2, maybe 3 high level AD&D 2e campaigns, and your player party kind of either needs a good set of magical items or like a proper knowledge of spells and stuff. Because once you get to high level stuff and you're using combat and tactics critical hit rolls, fighters do a lot of damage. Monsters have about as much bonus attack as fighters, and monsters will have like 5 attacks around. And there's always going to be like a fire breath from a dragon that does like 10 d6 damage, and they're attacking at plus 15 to hit. So, you're getting crit every hit.
Yeah.
If you don't have stone skin on to protect you from physical damage.
I mean, that just sounds fun to me.
The combats, high level combats, don't take long.
That's kind of a good thing, because high level combat,
they're lethal in both directions.
Yeah, because high level combat in 5e takes forever.
Unless you include a lot of NPCs to fight, then it takes forever.
Yes. Well, I do have a bad habit of doing that.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a problem specifically between me and you, Gray, where I think both of us, 1, enjoy recruiting NPCs, and 2, on the other side of the DM screen, enjoy placing follower NPCs into a party.
Yeah.
It just becomes a problem.
I think it's just that I introduce a character that players find very interested in.
Yeah.
Or like just like having them around because they're interesting in general.
And I almost never push back on it.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, we want them with us for the rest of the game.
What do I need to do? Persuasion check? No, they'll just follow you. I'm into it.
well, travelers, I'm gonna make my way. I'm gonna leave you guys. Hey, where you going? Where you going?
Hey, come over here. Walk with me. Walk with me for a minute. No, they're just part of your family.
How would you like to be my friend forever?
But
can't ever introduce a kobold because the player's just gonna collect kobolds.
Or kill them all. It's gonna be one or the other.
Or kill them all.
Yep.
It's one of the two.
Oh, I have a dog kobold that is part of the player party as an NPC in my now Sunday game. It's like their kid at this point. And then I have another player party that absolutely just massacred the kobolds because they were in the road. It's about all that the kobolds did was be there, massacred them.
Because you gave your players too much power.
I don't even make kobolds like strong at all. They're like little D4 commoners. They're just rascals in the world that steal shit. I love it. Anyways, what else did we talk about? Yeah, I think we kind of covered everything.
No, yeah,
At least everything we talked about before we started it. Anybody else have anything they want to talk about power? I mean, I'm sure power creep. I'm sure power will creep into our other conversations.
End the recording.
And take the damage. and just in our system exploration, it's such a common thing to talk about.
Yeah, we talked about that in the 2E one.
Yeah. The fact that there is no power creep or increase at all in Legend has me just really, really curious. I really want to read through that book.
Yeah, I'm curious as to how they handle it, because I as much as I had fun and I read through the tinderbox only gives you so much information, you know.
Yeah, but I'm actually worried about that because I almost don't want there to be anything else. Like, just looking at the character sheet, one, I would want to homebrew more tags and more themes into it. Like, I would want maybe I think 6 themes sounds good off the top of my head, and about 5 tags in each one. Because I'm thinking about I would want unique characters, right? And the level of uniqueness I would want it to be somewhat like, a D&D character. And that's kind of the way I've been thinking about it while thinking about Legend, is obviously the power is not going to be the same as 5e. But you almost want the versatility a little bit within an individual character. So I've been thinking about the player characters that I have in my campaigns and how I would convert them. And I think I need like 1 to 2 more themes, and then I think 1 to 2 more tags in each theme. Because if I think about one of my characters, I would want their species, their race, to be a theme. The boons and benefits that they would get from that species or race, or just background. Background in general could include racial traits, and then obviously you want like their class, but then you want their backstory as part of it as well. And then if they're a magic user, you would almost want magic. But that is moving away from using Legend the way it's meant to be played. I think I want to use it to play a more hero story and not necessarily play it with the same level. Because I expressed earlier, I actually like 5e's non-focus on party composition. So I feel like you would have to accomplish that, you would have to add a theme or 2. And a tag or 2 per theme. But I think it would be really fun to play. I think there's a very good chance I pick up Legend and homebrew on top of it, and that becomes one of the systems I actually play. Which surprised me, because I didn't feel that way when we played through it. When we actually played the system, I didn't feel like it, but it has come back to my mind so many times.
That's cool. I think if you got that, I wouldn't mind looking into it and do like, there's a suggestion in one of the like YouTube videos about like running from the running a game from a monster's perspective. And that'd be something where like, oh yeah, doing some like off the wall perspective, because it gives you that range.
Well, and I think you can do power like if you added an extra theme, and in that theme you literally put like powerful moves into a situation. Basically,
they talk about that. Yeah,
like you could have so you have the standard 4 themes, and then have a 5th theme that you kind of tell to your players. It's like, hey, these ones are meant to stack in combat in some way. So like, write it within your class, write it within your background, write it within your training, or whatever your character is. But like, these ones are meant to stack because I want you guys to be heroes. I want you to be powerful in combat or whatever.
Sure.
Yeah. But I like the idea that the power doesn't change. So like, you could have a character that's, holy magic, that literally as they arc through the story just become more and more jaded, and all of a sudden they start changing their tags to be unholy magic. And it's like, it's a really cool development of the character. But that's the same fucking +1 on their character sheet. They didn't get more powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Funny. I like the idea of not getting powerful. Tired of power. Power's stupid. My dream is still to play a commoner in specifically in like a 5e situation where like all I hit is the ASI markers, and then if the DM allows it, I could train to become proficient in items as we level. Like maybe I could pick up a proficiency or something like that. But otherwise, no features, no class feats. Give me a fucking D4 hit die, and just absolutely, I'm just a fucking commoner in the world. And as the player party gets super powerful, I get slightly better, I guess. Like they're level 20, I'm the equivalent of like a level 4. But I want to do that as not a combatant. Like I want to play as a commoner in an actual player party in 5e as a non-combatant that like genuinely participates in the role play and whatnot, and might have, you know, proficiency in history or whatever, or proficiency in charisma. But like as soon as combat looks like, you know, the big brawly orc steps forward like he's gonna fuck me up because I said the wrong thing in the bar, and I just like kind of push my paladin in front of me. I'm not gonna fight him. I'm not a combatant. I'm a conscientious objector to combat.
I can't wait for you to try to do that, and you get into it, and then you just accidentally get flattened by something.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I hope that's how it goes. I hope the character lives for a very long time. Hey, I was able to keep Esper alive through a whole mini campaign, and she is the worst character I've ever seen built in our DCC.
My
cleric is the worst character build I have ever seen, and I kept her alive. I could keep a commoner alive pretty long, I think. I say as every time we run a game with Grey, I just throw us into danger as Hail Marys because we don't know what to do in the story. Lovely. All right. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
No, I'm good. I think we covered
No.
it. Or at least covered what I could think of.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you for listening to Take the Damage podcast, as we kind of talked about.
It was a lot of rambling.
PC power, a lot of rambling, and a lot of other conversations. I hope you didn't enjoy it, and we'll see you next week for well, whatever we're doing next week. We will see you then. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit bells. We have links in the description for various things that we are doing, and catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.